Hello, and welcome to another episode of Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee. And today we're going to talk social media strategy with an amazing young lady. Her name is Liz Ogle. I think I said that. Yeah, Liz Ogle. And we're going to bring her on in just a second. But for those who are just tuning in to Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee, Picture Perfect is not about perfection. It's all about creating the perfect moment to empower, network, and create with people in the community. So that's what we're doing. So I am going to welcome Liz. Welcome, Liz. How are
Oh,
you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. So we're talking all things social media strategy today. So introduce yourself to the lovely people. Tell us a little bit about Liz.
So, my name is Liz Ogle. I am the president of the Grandview Chamber of Commerce, and my degree is communication, specifically public relationships. And so, uh, I am all about really using social media as strategically as possible and using it to be more engaging and having those conversations with people online through businesses, like through wherever I work, and also personally, because I think a lot of people think when you think strategic social media that it's only for brands, and you are your own brand too. So that I just want to make sure that we talk about like this is for if you don't run a business, like you can also take this information and use it to land a job or uh, get involved with your community. So
That is so true. And I'm glad that you said that because I instantly think when I think strategic, I instantly think business wise, like for business or whatever. I don't think the other way, but you're absolutely right. We are our own brands. So we're going to kick this show off. Top five. So for you, what are the top five things that are in your social media feed?
so
Like
the top
topics and
five
things. Yeah.
things like in my feed, like what the types of things that
That feel like somehow get filtered in or that you're looking at like, like I know mine's is food and makeup and, what are the top 5 that you are like you could go down a rabbit hole and not realize that you've spent an
oh my
hour looking
gosh.
at stuff?
So dogs, cute pictures of like dogs. And you know the algorithm is so crazy because you just pause on one video and for weeks then I'm on baby horse TikTok and Facebook videos, you know, like I stopped at one little baby horse video and then all of a sudden the algorithm thinks that I like horses
Baby
and I'm a
horses,
horse
yeah.
girl. And then you gotta purposely like start watching some other videos to get on a different little
Yeah.
algorithm. But animals is my big thing. I'm a nerd, and so like Star Wars and even like social media, like marketing, I will go down
Okay.
those rabbit holes of other marketers and other content creators and
Okay.
just get more information from them, like what their strategy is
Mhm.
and different tools, new tools like AI. I like
Oh my
learning,
goodness.
so
That is something that is mind blowing for me is this AI stuff. It is mind blowing. The things that I have been seeing. So you said dogs, marketing, AI, Star Wars. So you said Star Wars. Yes, you did. What else? Is one more. One more. What else is it? Did I miss?
more would probably be like mental health and self-help. That's another one that pops up a lot and I appreciate because sometimes you know some of us just aren't great at taking care of ourselves and thinking of ourselves and sometimes I need that reminder coming through my newsfeed.
That is so true. I feel like because I've seen you in action. So I feel like you can get busy and wrapped up and then, you forget totally about yourself. I know that I typically do. So I typically have to work in the self-care and all of that stuff in. So I totally understand that. So we are going to jump right into the question. So, first question, what is strategic social media?
So strategic social media is really about like having a plan and creating engaging content to help reach a goal and build your brand, which again can be your business, can be yourself. So the last two jobs that I've had, I sending an application and sending in my resume were
Mhm.
formalities. I had been recruited essentially for both the jobs that I've had the last few times, because I had created a presence on social media personally. And
Okay.
I interacted with those brands, and their social media, so they knew who I was. And um, it's figuring out what your goal, what you want, whether that's getting more followers, getting more engaged followers, which is, I mean, you can have 5,000 followers, but if only two of them are buying your product or coming to your salon or doing, taking advantage of your service, then 5,000 means nothing. It's that two.
I know, and and I'm glad that you mentioned that. So being strategic about it just basically means, okay, so we'll take me for an example. Photographers, like, so what do you want? Do you want more clients? Do you want people to visit the website? So just making a plan for what it is I actually want and executing certain things, because I feel like you can make a post and then not be engage worthy.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
so,
just
like, you know, for example, with photography, if you're looking for more clients, maybe you start posting behind the scenes videos so people understand like your style and who you are. And then you post the results from that session. And that does, I follow a few other photographers that do that. And I love seeing those videos of the behind the scenes. And then I'm immediately looking for the results and like, okay, I see that
okay.
you're crawling on the ground to get these angles. Like, I want to see that photo. And
I was that way. Yeah.
it gives those people the connection with you before they ever even meet. And
I like that.
sometimes you're in it for the long run. Like, somebody could follow you for years, and then all of a sudden now they're getting married. Now they're realizing, oh, I need a photographer. And you are the first one that comes to mind because they've been following you and they haven't needed your services yet until now, but you are top of mind because they've engaged with your social media. Maybe you respond to their comments when they comment on your videos or posts. And it just makes a huge difference when you're building these relationships with people and then you're top of mind when they need you.
I like that. And that goes into the second question. Why is it important for small business and entrepreneurs and etc., like anyone, to have the strategic social media? Because I know, like you just mentioned, like somebody could be following you for years and like, oh, they're getting ready to get married. Somehow I don't think about that, but it makes so much sense because it's like people can look at you and your work for. I had someone tell me, "I have been following you and I've looked at your work and I've seen how much you've grown." And I'm like, "Wow, yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah." And they're still there. So it's like they're still watching. So it's like, "Oh my gosh, well, thank you. That was a compliment." But when you're a small business or an entrepreneur or yourself, we'll say yourself, when making the plan and you decide what is it that you want from it, do you then say it should be posts, it should be reels, it should be stories? How do you start formulating that plan to execute? What is it, the steps that you do to be able to do that?
So again, kind of figuring out what your goals are and then deciding, okay, who is my target audience? I think a lot of businesses, and I get it. Like, when you're running a business, you are so busy. Like, social media, it's one of those things where a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm just gonna post. I'll post a picture, and it's not really thought about. Like, as long as I'm putting something out, it's fine. But really, if you take the time and you set aside, you know, even just a couple hours a week and just
Okay.
focus, to sit down and you're like, this is what I'm going to post, this is what I'm going to schedule. I highly suggest scheduling content out, but then making sure that you're still checking in on your social media. And if somebody comments, you're answering their questions, or if they give you a compliment, responding. And even the negative, some people have the mentality of like, if it's negative, just delete the comment or hide it. But sometimes if you respond well and you respond with empathy and educating them on, because a lot of times if it's a negative comment, it may be just that they're not educated on the topic or the situation. And if you respond with empathy and your goal is to educate them, um, sometimes you end up getting your most loyal customer from those negative people because
I've never thought
um
about that, like, the negative comments. Well, I haven't
yeah, and
received any negative comments, so let me start there. But how you could spin that, because, I mean, that's just being human, and as long as you handle it with professionalism and grace and some empathy, then yeah, that is so I'm glad you said that, I'm gonna write that down.
and it like so for example, I used to work for Parks and Recreation. It's government, so there's usually somebody that has something to complain about, even if
Well,
you're giving away free
yeah.
things. There's somebody that has an issue with it, and a lot of times people just want to be heard. And so if you read their comments and you respond saying, I totally understand where you're coming from. This is why we're doing it this way. Um,
Mm.
and maybe that first time they don't come around. There's one specific person that I remember every time I saw a notification with this person's name, like I was just like, "Oh, here we go again." But again, I always responded with empathy and kindness, and, sometimes it was really hard to do that. Sometimes I had to wait and then come back to respond.
Good for
But,
you.
after about 3 months, uh, this person came into the office one day and, had a concern, and, um I heard somebody mention the name and I perked up and I was like, I want to meet this person. So I went over and I was like, hi, my name's Liz. I'm the one that you talk to on social media. I appreciate your feedback. Like, I'm really glad that you're engaged and, ask questions and tell us your concerns. And from that day forward, if we had a negative comment, that person, half the time I didn't have to respond. That person was responding for
Oh,
us
that is
on behalf.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Now that is
So
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 awesome.
don't be afraid to engage with some of those negative comments.
Okay.
Sometimes if it's a troll, you just need to ignore them. Like you're not going to change
But
their
do
mind.
you engage with the troll, or do you just delete it? Like, what would you suggest that someone do if it's considerously like a troll issue? Like, do you just delete and block them, or what do you suggest?
It depends on the situation. If sometimes if they're being extremely rude and
Mhm.
saying really problematic things, I would probably delete it and move and
Okay.
block them and move on.
Okay.
If you're in a role where you are like when I worked for Parks and Recreation, we're government, so you can't block, and I mean that's
Oh.
you're infringing on their rights to
Yeah.
speak to you.
Okay.
So um, that was just I would ignore and move on. But
Okay.
sometimes you have to remember that you're not always just engaging with that one person. All of these people are seeing your response. And so again, if you're responding with kindness or empathy, and a lot of times if it was a legit like troll and I knew that they're just commenting to be a pain, uh I love the gifts. Like you go just make a funny response. There's no words involved. It's just,
Yeah.
like a celebrity going, what? And I would just do that. And you would get so much more engagement with other people, like, liking that comment and saying, like, "Oh, Parks and Rec has such a good sense of humor, like,
I
dealing with
like
these
that.
trolls and stuff." And so, sometimes it's, the thought of who else is gonna see this comment and how I respond. And so, sometimes you can respond and just make light of it and be fun and be funny, and then other times it's probably best to just move on and keep going.
I this thing does that. I'm so sorry. But
Okay.
that's good.
Likes what I'm saying.
That's good advice. So now we're going to move on to question 3. What are the main components to having a good social media post? What should you have when we'll just say just a regular post. So not a story or a reel, not a video, but just a regular post. What are the key components that you should have when you're being strategic?
So you want a mix of things. So in in my planner and when I talk to people and other businesses about their social media, a lot of times there's specifically 5 things that I tell them that they need. You need to be, well, I probably closer to 4, but you need to be honest. Always, you want to be honest and transparent. You want to be funny,
Okay.
mixing in some fun posts and trying to make sure that you're being funny. Make sure you can read the room. Make sure you're not posting things in a time where there's been a big tragedy in the community or things like that.
Gotcha.
Uh, Always being kind. Uh, Posting educational, informational posts, making sure that you're educating your followers. A lot of people don't know the ins and outs of your industry, and sometimes they like it's really interesting and enlightening to learn about it. So posting educational content is really helpful as well. And then just always being human. A lot of people, especially with AI now, you can go into chat GPT and say, write, 5 posts for my social media, and it'll write these posts, but um, people forget that social media, we all get on social media to be social. Like we're on there to connect with other people.
Yeah.
And that includes the brands. Like you want to be human. You don't want to just be putting out this basic, like almost a robot putting out content that's not, it doesn't sound like a human, it doesn't
Yeah.
read like you would actually talk, and so it's not it becomes disingenuous.
Yeah.
So yeah, being human is the major one that I tell people. Just make sure that it sounds like you and it's something that you would say in person. uh you if you're standing in front of someone, you're having a conversation, and that's what social media is. It's just one big conversation.
Absolutely. So you mentioned AI. So listen. So what I've been seeing is like people in the AI images of themselves, and I just refuse to do that. I just don't want to do that. I don't care anything about that. But what are your thoughts on AI and social media and business? Because like for me, I know that I've used AI before. I'll write something myself. It's my work, and then I'll say, write a more professional way to say this, or kind of a funny way to say this, but it's my words, and just to see how they just kind of change certain things, but it's still my work. I've never like said, hey, write this and then just let it write something. But how do you feel about that with social media? Do you feel like you can use some of it, or you should just kind of like not use it? Like,
People are very scared of AI.
mhm,
I look at it as just another tool. There's folks that say that it's going to take away jobs and it can do everything for you. Um, and that might be the case in a very small percentage of situations. But really, if it's used correctly and used more as a tool, I think it can really help you, especially small businesses where you are juggling, 20 other things.
yes,
And sometimes and even I get creator's block. Like, gosh, what am I like? I have a picture, I have a graphic, but what what should I put as the caption of this? Uh and I think AI is helpful when you use it in that sense of getting ideas. And I never take something because I use sometimes I use chat gpt. I also use Google has Gemini,
yeah,
uh, and
I
that's
like
a
that.
that's
Yeah.
a good one that I use a lot.
Mhm.
But it's like what you said. It's I'm putting in a prompt of what I want. I put in all of the information that I want to put in the post and have included, and then it gives me like 3 or 4 different versions, just it sounds, different wording, a little more casual, a little more professional,
Yeah,
and what I want that to sound like. And it just helps cut down time. I'm not sitting there for
it
20 minutes
does.
trying to come up with just
It
one post. I can
I
now do that in a
I'm
few minutes
telling
and
you,
have several others.
you are right because it does cut down time. Because, like, for me, especially like emails, I like to have things, I create templates. So that's my thing, so that I can have a streamline of I hit this when this happens, a little bit of automation. And so I'll write it out how I want it to go, but how I speak and profession, it's like, okay, I needed to help me make this sound a little bit more professional.
Yeah.
But that email, instead of me going back and forth, it helps with things like that. Like you said, mentioned a minute ago, creative block. And I didn't think about that because we could sit at a computer and prepare some things and then we just get stuck. Then we're like, okay, like you said, I have this graphic, I have this, well, what is it gonna say? Like, I didn't even think about creative block, but that is awesome. So I feel like that's when I use it the most, when I'm trying to find something different to say and not what everybody else, does. Because yeah, social media is a challenge for me. It's such a challenge for me.
Sounds for a lot of people, and and I get it. And sometimes it's just taking the time to sit down and realize that you have some of these tools. Some people don't think of AI as a tool.
That's true.
Um, and and just, going in every now and then and just playing around with it and seeing what you can do. And I never just copy whatever AI has produced and post it. Again, you want it to sound like you. You want it to make
Yeah,
sure that it has your tone, and your voice for your brand or you personally. And so
absolutely.
I always kind of tweak it a little bit if I end up using something that AI has created. Uh, but it at least gets me. It's a starting point. It's a jumping off point. So then it's not me starting from scratch. I have uh, a few paragraphs of information, and I can make it my own after that.
So, is there really, I'm just going to go into the next question. So, is there really, does the time that you post really matter? Like, does it really matter? I just want to know.
It can, depending on your audience and what you're wanting. If you're wanting, you know, if it's okay that you're posting what I like to call some like evergreen content, that it's just out there and whenever people see it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have a time associated with it.
Okay.
Then you can post that kind of content anytime, and just hope that people see it eventually and engage with it at whenever they see it. But if you have something that's time sensitive, and you're wanting people to act on it, once they see it, then I would suggest posting when you think that your audience is online. And a lot of times the analytics, if you go on the backside, and that's a big thing. I really recommend people checking their analytics, and I know that that can be very overwhelming
It is
too.
overwhelming because
It
I
is
look
extremely
at it and I'm
overwhelming.
like, wait, what? And I just click off of it because I'm like, I don't even know. So,
Yeah, I highly recommend just taking a few minutes every now and then, every few days, to go check and see how posts are doing. But it also will tell you uh, what time your audience is online, when the most of them are online and engaged. And a lot of times it's in the evening. A lot of people, once they're home from work, that's when they're scrolling, or first thing in the morning, after they've gotten ready, they're waiting before they have to leave for work, and they're just scrolling a little bit. Um, so if you check your analytics, a lot of times it will give you ideas of when your audience is online. It'll give you certain days of the weeks, and then the time of that day that most of your audience will be online. Um,
Interesting.
and so it can make a difference when you post, but again, it really depends on what your goals are, what you're wanting
Okay.
from your audience. And so just keeping that in mind, sometimes it can make a difference and sometimes it that may not be a priority for you.
So to authentically this so we're going into the next question, to increase like your social media presence or engagement with, some people want followers. I don't know why people get hung up on I need 1,000 followers or whatever the case may be, but to authentically do that, what are like 5 things that a person could do to authentically do that and grow their social media?
So I would say I would engage with your current followers. That's a really big one.
Okay.
If somebody comments, make sure you're replying. Uh, Maybe tagging them, like if you know that something's if somebody has asked a question and you just create a whole nother post with information about that and tagging them if you can.
Okay.
Um, I suggest not necessarily always doing the new feature on Facebook, the highlight feature, where you within the comments you can hit at and highlights or at and followers, and it will notify all of your followers of that post. Like it says that you mentioned them, and they get a notification. And I strongly suggest only doing that if it is very important for all of your followers to see something, because then
Okay.
it starts getting very spammy and people will unfollow
Yeah.
you. You
Yes.
don't want that.
Yeah.
um, so just engaging with your current followers is a big one because organically you will start to grow that way. But engaging with other brands is also a really good strategy. Engaging with your community, like your community brands, like your city. I think if you follow the Grandview Chamber or me, you will see me or the chamber commenting on our members' posts. You'll see us commenting on the city's posts, and it's just another way for other people to see your page and see your brand when they don't actually follow you. Um,
That's so smart.
and engaging with them, and sometimes they'll engage back if they're a really great brand that's good at engagement as well. Then you end up having these whole conversations with these other brands
Oh, that is
that
so smart.
everyone else can see.
That is so smart. Okay, I got a bonus question.
Mhm.
How often should you be posting to social media? Like, is it really you need to post? I think I heard one time like 3 times a day, 4 times a day. Like, is that really necessary? I just really need to know, is that really necessary? Because I'm behind. I'm a far, far behind. I'm like, nah, I don't do that, but I'll be behind.
It can be a
So thank
numbers game.
okay.
Some people that are posting 3 or 4 times a day, they they acknowledge or they're aware, hopefully, that their followers will only see one of those. With the analytics and the algorithm, Facebook won't always show you every single post of a page that you follow. They'll show you a small percentage of the posts of
That
a
is so
page that you
true.
follow.
So true.
So if you're posting 3 or 4 times a day, um, maybe most of your followers may only see 1 or 2 of those, maybe. Um, but for your very loyal and engaged followers, they may see more of those and start being like, "Oh my gosh, all I'm seeing is this page,"
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
go unfollow, which
yeah.
this line that you're always walking, trying to make sure that you're not being too spammy, but you're also posting enough that people aren't forgetting about you. And so I would say making sure that you're posting regularly. And I say that because for everyone, it's different. So for some brands, that's posting multiple times a day, where some other brands, maybe it's just once a day or maybe once a week. Like the podcast, for example, everybody knows that it comes out on a Monday. So they're looking for it on Monday. YouTubers are really good about this. Like they post one video a week and it's a certain time of the week every time. And so people have that expectation, like they know, okay, a new video is going to drop or a new podcast is going to drop at this time. And
Okay.
so it's just staying consistent and posting regularly. So then you're still showing up in those feeds.
Well, that's always a good thing. I feel like I get so wrapped up and overwhelmed thinking that I need to post like 3 or 4 times a day. I could not do it. I do good to get the one post, okay? I do good to get the one post. So let me ask you, I have a question. So I, created a new page on Facebook and Shawn Lee TV. Um, and so I'm not at first I wasn't following anybody, but in my feed of that just comes up, I guess, suggestions. I'm gonna say suggestions. And I'm gonna say this, and please do not laugh, but I am so serious. All the suggestions are big booty women. And I'm not sure on how that came about because I haven't, it's a new page. Like, so I haven't even had a chance to explore or like how can I get that from not being, I mean, then I'm not joking. I have sent a message to Facebook about it because I don't want to see it. But I can't, it's just there and I don't know how to do that.
A little trick that I've learned over the years is, especially like a brand new profile or a brand new page, the platform, it doesn't have any information yet. And so it is just pushing something out there. Um, and you can, I mean, you can essentially create your own algorithm, and it takes work, but it's like searching for the pages that you want to engage with. So, if, for
Okay.
example, the Grandview Chamber, we follow all of our members. If they have a Facebook presence, we make sure that we go follow them. And sometimes if there's a member that I think about and I was like, you know what, I haven't seen any of their posts lately. Let me go search their page real quick. And then I go to their page and I interact with them as the chamber. I interact with a couple of their posts. And then the next time I refresh my feed and I log in, their post comes up. And so
Mhm.
it's because Facebook and TikTok is the same, Instagram, it starts paying attention to the pages that you're engaging with, and within the feed. A lot of times I tell people, if you see uh, a video or a post of something that you don't necessarily like, but it's like, oh well, I'm curious.
Mhm.
When you pause on something, you don't even have to engage with it. When you pause on something, the algorithm notices. And it's like, you paused on that. So now let me show you more of it. So even with, my board with the chamber, a lot of times when I'm like, we want you to engage with our Facebook page. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to share. I would love you to share. That is what I would really like. But I get it. Some people don't want to
Yeah.
constantly share our post and seem spammy because that's not what they naturally do on their social media. And I get that. But then I'm like, if you see our stuff as you're scrolling, just stop and read it and look at it
Mhm.
and spend
Okay.
a few seconds on it. And then you can scroll on. I would like you to also like it because that's not a big deal. Just go ahead and like it too. But just telling people that even if you stop and pause on a post, the algorithm is taking note of that. So that is how you can create your own algorithm, making sure that your feed is what you want. So then you stop on things that you like and you want to engage with, and the algorithm will do the rest of the work for you.
Because I've just been, and I am not kidding you, I have been hitting no, like no. I mean, because
You do have to do that sometimes.
it's
Yeah.
literally back to back to back. And I'm like, where in the world did they get this is what I want to see? And it cracks me up because it's like, I'm just new. Like, I didn't even tell you anything. Like, I like makeup. I like football. Like, I don't want to see this. And so I've been kind of
Go
like,
search some makeup and football, like,
oh,
go search that on
okay,
Facebook,
okay, okay.
and then that it'll start showing more of that. But
Oh,
again, like, I really encourage people to follow other brands, like, in their community or partners that you work with and engaging with their content too, because, then it just becomes, like, this natural, like, social media feed of all the people that you interact with normally.
okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that advice because it was driving me crazy. I was like, listen, okay, ladies, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
like I said earlier, there's times where, like, I stopped at a little cute baby horse video, and then next thing I knew, all it was horse videos. I'm like, "I'm not that into horses." Like, I
horses.
watch them, but I'm not that into horses. So then I had to, like, purposely go watch other videos and stuff to get
Listen,
that out of my
I
feed.
was so angry and it's still happening. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait and I'm gonna ask her how to do it because I am literally like, I don't know what else to do besides hit delete. I don't want to see this. This is not the content I like. Because it gives you those little options on if you don't like something or that's not the content that you like.
Yeah.
But it's still popping up. They still popping up. And there's just so many. And I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm so over it.
You just have to spend a little time on
Okay.
social media, which I know can be overwhelming when we already have a lot going on, but just
But
spending
I'm
a
gonna
little bit
do
of
that.
time
I'm gonna
will
take
spend
your
that.
advice and I'm gonna interact with pages that I want to like work with and engage with. And then I'm gonna also search, not search under Shawn Lee, but search under the page because I think that's where I'm going wrong with search under the page for the different things. And then when I do see something that I like, pause on it and read it, and then maybe like it and share it. So it'll say,
Yes.
hey, she likes stuff like this.
Yes.
So I'm going to take that advice. Are you ready to see your pictures?
I am, yeah.
And so keep in mind, I only picked a few,
Okay.
but you'll have, you'll get to see all of them. But I only picked a few. But you did so good. And I just want to tell you that someone else saw the pictures that somebody that I work with and everything, and they said that she looked like Taylor Swift. So remember I told you that, and I said I told her that too. I was like, she looks like Taylor Swift. I was like, so
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
the
we have resemblances. I don't want a whole, like Love is Blind situation when they're like, she doesn't look anything like her. I'm like, we have several features that are
you do
similar.
like for real, for real. Like I wasn't the only one, and I that was the first thing I said that when I was taking a picture. I was like, it's like that's so crazy because I know you love her. So that's what I was like,
Love her. I'm a Swiftie, yes.
yes. That's what I was like, oh my gosh, it's probably the best compliment for her right now
It
because I
is.
know
I
you
mean,
love
I'm glad that I look like somebody that's really popular and well
her. Yeah.
known and not problematic
Oh,
and pretty. She's
that
pretty. I
is
like
true.
her.
That
Yeah.
is true. That is true. But yeah, I think that was awesome. I like Taylor, so I think that was just awesome. But I was just like, somebody else saw it too. So I was like, yes, I know. It's true. It's true. So here we go. We're gonna
Right.
reveal your pictures. So
Oh my
this
gosh.
one. So I like this one because you do get content. So you also are a photographer, like you take pictures. So I felt like this was one of those pictures that you definitely need to have, and you're smiling and you just look so happy. And you just look so happy. You look so adorable. And then this one. So I did picked another one with the camera, but it shows you out. You're kind of like relaxing, a little posy, but you look so comfortable. It's like your personality because I know for you, that's the one thing that you said that you wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that you showcased your personality. And I think that we did that. And so this one was just a content picture, just a picture. When I think you were changing or something. And then I looked down and I was like, oh, this is a good content picture for her to have if she wanted to post on her social media. And
It's such a cool picture.
I was like, that'll be so perfect for her. And then this one, I thought that like the sun, I know was kicking your butt, but you looked so good. And I just loved how this truly shows like your personality. You're always smiling. I always see you smile. I don't think I've ever seen you frown. I guess that one time when you guys were really frantic, but other than that, you're always smiling. So I love this picture. And then this one was like
I
very
love that.
relaxed and chill. So good. I was just so surprised because taking your picture, since you take pictures, since you are a photographer too, you kind of knew what to do. But then seeing Liz like this was totally different than business Liz. So
Yes.
this was nice to see when I went through your film. I was like, oh my gosh, she just looks so fun. Okay, so now we're at the point of Ask Shawn Lee. So
Okay.
I had a question that came in about social media. And the question that they had, and I'll take this off. The question that they had was when you create a reel, and I'm make sure that I get this right. When you create a reel, does it really matter the sounds? I guess if you know how some people they go with the popular sound or the popular thing, does that matter like with a business? Like it's one thing if you post, because I know I post and I'll use a song or something, just me personally. Everybody knows I love Beyonce. So it's gonna probably be something Beyonce. But does the being on the fad of the sounds, does that really matter? Does that really get you exposure? And the hashtags, that was the other thing. The hashtags and the sound, does that really matter when you're
I think
posting?
it can. I think that I always encourage people to keep up with the trends, and if it fits your brand, to hop on some of those trends. And it can help your exposure, but again, it's whether or not it's going to help you reach your goal. So if your goal is just to have a whole bunch of followers, then maybe that's something that you want to hop on more often, is doing those trending sounds just so you're getting more exposure. But if you're, if say you're a salon in downtown Grandview, uh, if you're hopping on those trends and it's, a worldwide trend, is somebody from Germany or somebody from another state, does that
Mhm.
really make sense for them to engage with your
Okay.
content? Because it's not getting you local followers. Um, but sometimes it's just fun to hop on some of those trends. And I encourage it because then those people that are following you see that, that other side of you. You're having fun with it. You're not all business all the time. And
Okay.
so sometimes it can be fun to hop on some of those trends. And same with the hashtags. I think hashtags, if people think of them more as I was taught years and years ago, treat hashtags as phone numbers. So it's
Ooh.
dialing into a conversation that you want to be part of.
Ooh,
And
I
so
like
you're using
that.
that hashtag as a phone number to get in on those conversations. You're clicking on that hashtag to see what other people are saying and what other people are posting using that hashtag, and then making sure that that's aligning with what you want your content to be associated with as well.
Oh, I like that. See, I wouldn't have been able to answer that at all because I would have been like, "Hey, I don't know." Like, because for me, Jasmine showed me something on, I think was it TikTok? So the hashtags that she used, and I guess there are popular hashtags or whatever that you put that everybody puts, and so it puts you in front of people that you don't even know. And
Huh?
so one video did like 2,000 views, and I'm not even on TikTok. My Tick don't be talking like that. But when I saw that 2,000 people watched this video of me and my daughter dancing, I was like, "Wait, what?"
Yep.
But it was whatever she put in the little thing that it did that. So I thought that was kind of neat,
Just
a
it's
neat trick.
essentially hopping in on a conversation, and there are some brands that kind of go overboard and they'll use hashtags that are trending, but it has absolutely nothing to do with the video or post that they've created. And so then it's like you're that weird person that like hops in on the conversation and I'm like, "Hey guys," and you have absolutely no idea like what we're talking about, or what the purpose is of what we're talking, what we're discussing. So
That is so funny. You're that one person like, "Hey, I'm here." Yeah, but I
yeah,
like what you said about treat it like a hashtag like a phone number because I never really thought about that because I would want whatever my content is. Like sometimes I'll use a photo of the day. And so when I click on that to look at others, it is just a photo that a photographer took or just something that somebody took with their cell phone, but it's a photo. It's a photo of the day. So it makes sense to me. But when it comes to the music thing, like the music, she was telling me, this is my daughter. When I say she, I'm talking about Jasmine, was like, you gotta pick the sounds that are popular. But for me, I don't always do that because if it's like I'll just say like a rapper or something, that's that's not what I want,
mhm.
the my
Has to
brand
fit
to
your
be.
brand and fit your
Yeah,
messaging and what you want, like how you want people associating with you.
yeah, and so I told her, I was like, "Yeah, I can't use that, like, I can't do that, mommy can't do that." I was like, "You guys can have that popular part of it," but I'm glad that you let us know that to treat the hashtags like a phone number, enter into the conversation, and I think that that's important because you just kinda don't wanna be attached to everything just because it's popular, right? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and I'll make sure that I link this right here because this I got this, and I can't wait to sit down and actually plan out some stuff. So I got my content planner. I'm gonna do the work, which scheduling posts. So let me ask you, what are some tools that you use? Because you mentioned schedule a post. So what are some of the tools that you use for social media to help do what you needed to do? What are some of the tools?
So there are a lot of different platforms out there that will help you schedule posts for all of your different platforms at once. And sometimes those work best for people. I try to schedule content in the native platform because a lot of times it does better. Like Facebook specifically
Mhm.
always wants you in Facebook. If you're using
Okay.
like Sprout Social or Hootsuite, a lot of times it recognizes that that's where it's posting from, and it won't necessarily push it out as much.
Okay.
And so I use Facebook Meta Suite and I schedule content out, and you can schedule Instagram and Facebook through there. Twitter has a scheduling platform as well. And so I try to schedule things in the native platform when I can.
Okay.
But Hootsuite and things like that are extremely beneficial, and sometimes it's just easier to be able to do it all in one place. And I totally understand and recognize that that's just better for some people. Um, my
Can you
biggest thing
schedule
with
on
scheduling content though
uh-huh.
is like making sure that you're not posting the same thing word for word, same graphic and everything all at the same time on every single platform. Uh, because some of those people that are following you on multiple platforms, like
Oh,
I already saw this. Why am I seeing this on
okay.
Instagram if this is the same thing on Facebook? And sometimes it's just taking that same content and repackaging it in a different way for a different platform. And
Okay.
so it
Okay.
could be a blog post, and it is a blog post, a link to the blog post, and talking about that specific blog post on all of your different platforms, but maybe using a different graphic for each platform, and maybe taking a little snippet from one portion of the blog post and putting it on LinkedIn that is more business related or professional
Okay.
related, where on Instagram, the other part of that blog post may be a little bit more casual and talking about your professional or your personal side, then posting that snippet on Instagram because that's where people are, wanting to connect with each other more on a personal casual level, where LinkedIn you're more on a
You're
professional mode when you're on
professional.
LinkedIn.
Like LinkedIn is professional.
Yeah.
So that's good that you say that because I know that some of the play like the Hootsuite, they will like you can post to the multiple accounts all at the same time, but it's the same post. So
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. That's what you're saying.
No.
We don't want to do that. We want it can be similar in the sense of maybe what you're wanting it to say, but like you want it to tailor to your Instagram, your LinkedIn. So can you schedule with TikTok? Because I don't know, since I'm not on TikTok much, can you schedule posts with TikTok?
We so I think there's is an option to schedule on TikTok.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't used it really that much yet because a lot of our TikTok is um like after the fact. Like we want to give people the FOMO, like this is what we're doing,
Mhm.
this is what you missed out on. So make sure you're following us to go see what's coming up next.
Okay.
So it's a lot of like, this is what happened at this event.
Got
And so it's not necessarily that I'm constantly scheduling stuff out on TikTok. It's
okay.
usually all of the pictures and videos that I took during a program or event, I'm posting on there after the fact.
Okay, okay. Okay, well, that's good to know. So I listen, I'm going now, it might not be this week, but I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna plan out my social media and I'm gonna have some posts and I'm gonna tailor them to the different social media channels. And but the first thing I know I'm gonna do is work on that Facebook page because I'm tired of seeing these women.
Yep, just go follow some other brands that you
Yeah,
like and that you
yeah,
engage with, and
yeah.
it'll change.
Yeah, it has to because I like I literally reported it because I was like, this is overwhelming. This is just like too much. But I thank you so much, Liz, for coming on. And yeah, you did really good during your shoot.
Thanks for having me. I was excited.
I was so excited to see you in a different element. Like I got to see your personality, and that was just like super amazing. And you always do smile. Like it is so true. You're always smiling. So I thought that was super. Like as I was going through, I was like, she's always smiling. Even like when she's talking, she's smiling. So I
Yep,
love that
yep.
too. Well, I thank you. And it's time for me to say goodbye to you. But thank you for coming on. And until next time.
Thank you for having me. I
You
appreciate
are
it.
so welcome. Do you want to share your social media if you know, for folks that might want to be
You
like,
can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook if you search Liz Ogle. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, and it's all, very personal. Like if you want to see pictures of my dogs and stuff, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram too at Oglet. So
that's cute.
yeah, yeah. So feel free to follow me or connect on any of those platforms.
Okay, well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll be seeing you soon. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, and so that's it. That's another picture perfect under my belt, and I enjoyed it. And remember, if you or somebody you know would be a good guest for a Picture Perfect with Shawn Lee, um, email me info@shawnleehouse.com or follow me on all social media platforms. I mean, all the social media platforms. I'm talking about the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, and even the Snapchat at Shawn Lee House TV. And yeah, and if you have a question or you need some advice, feel free to, send me a question or two and I'll get that answered for you. So until next time, um, remember, take a moment to create the perfect moment to empower, network, and create with the people in your community. We'll see you later. Bye.